What's up, guys? Todd here from Zeotag.com, and today we are helping you graduate your video marketing from Scrappy to pro level with Impact Branding Design's lead video marketing and sales consultant, Will Schultz. They are one of the top inbound marketing agencies in the world, so you definitely don't want to miss his advice today. Today, we go over what the biggest struggles he sees his clients have when they first come on board and how they easily flip those struggles into major successes. We talk about how you can build trust with your customers by acting like a media company. If you want to be the trusted source in your industry, well, quantity and frequency are a major factor. So how much content should you be publishing and how often? We get into all those details as well. When is it time for you to graduate from Scrappy to pro level video, and how do you find the right people to hire and work with? What are the biggest misconceptions that are causing your videos to fall flat, and how you can change your mindset so you can drastically improve your results with almost no additional work, plus a ton more. So stick around for all that great stuff from Will. If you want to get your videos auto-transcribed, fully searchable, and add a table of contents so that your viewers can easily skim all the topics you're talking about and find exactly what they want to watch, get your free account today at Zeotag.com. Now, without further ado, here's my episode with Will. All right, Will, so thank you so much for joining us on the show. Why don't you just give a quick little background on who you are and what you do on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, Todd, thanks for having me. I'm Will Schultz. I'm the lead video sales and marketing consultant here at Impact Branding and Design. We're a digital sales and marketing agency, and we help businesses to fish rather than actually just give them fish over and over again. So my job is to meet with businesses on a weekly basis that are actually insourcing a video production department and help them to create a strategy behind creating effective sales and marketing videos that will ultimately build trust with the clients that they're looking to educate.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I mean, I think this is really kind of hopefully a new wave that takes place where people do start insourcing their own, their content, their video, all that kind of stuff. So when did you guys kind of make that pivot, and how have you seen clients like kind of take to it? Is it easy transition for them, hard? Like, where do you see the most struggle and most success?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's one of those services that it's pretty ambiguous. People don't really know what to relate it to or compare it to. Yeah. Impact started providing it in early 2017, and it was not something that people came to us knowing they needed necessarily. They would slowly drink more and more of the Kool-Aid of understanding the real way to build trust with people is to answer their questions and concerns on their own terms, which is basically by being searchable online, because that's where people want to educate themselves. And so in the last only couple of years, it's already really grown. And where I see it heading is in the next 5 to 10 years, I think every business is going to realize the quantity of media that they have to create, and they have to start to view themselves as publishers and media companies as much as everything else that they actually is their core competency.
Yeah. So let's talk about that quantity. Like, what do you think is the right number, so to speak, for people to be publishing or creating videos? Like, there's probably people out there that, they're sporadically putting something up, but they don't see the traction that, everyone's talking about how great video is. And I published a video and nothing happened. Or like I did something, every couple months. Like what's the quantity and kind of cadence you see to make things work and get traction?
Yeah. So what they're looking to do ultimately is to become that one trusted source for their industry. They want to be the most trusted voice in their space. And really what that involves is never stopping. It's creating content in perpetuity. The businesses that want to see results from search engines, respecting the quality of content that they're making and starting to give them the benefit of the doubt, that takes 6 to 9 months of creating 2 to 3 effective sales and marketing videos on a weekly basis, which for a lot of videographers is absolutely a full-time job if you want to do that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So are we talking about now a wave where companies now have to find the budget to hire a full-time videographer to make these things happen, or what?
Yeah, I've seen businesses get scrappier. I've seen people use freelancers and sort of dip their toe in the water of producing their own content a little bit. But ultimately, if people want to be successful in doing what it is that we train businesses to do, they were going to realize this is a huge, not just an expense, but something that the marketing team should start to see as eventually being profitable, which is why a big part of what we do too is help people to see the ROI on the investment that they're making. But it should be a full-time position for a videographer that's living somewhere between the marketing and sales team of your organization.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. Let's dive deeper into that and give people kind of some guidance on it. So how does a company make the decision to, insource their content production and hire someone? Like, at what point, revenue wise or employee wise or whatever, does it make sense for them to start doing that? And then, like, what should they be looking for when they do start hiring?
Yeah, so I work with kind of a crazy range of businesses. I have as small as like a 5-person marina up in Ontario, Canada, and as big as like a $1 billion company that does financing for business equipment and everything in between there. So yeah, really the time that when somebody should decide to do this the right way is when they wake up one morning and realize that their company newsletter isn't really getting them the traction that they want, or their outbound video work or their billboard advertising is just not building the trust that they're looking for. And really what it takes is more just a mindset and a level of commitment that they're willing to see this through all the way till the end, and not just have it be like a summer program, but a philosophy that's going to be around for years to come. Yeah.
And I think that mindset thing, that's a big shift that can happen, because when you talk about putting out 3 pieces of content every week, for a videographer, like you said, that's a full-time videographer's job. Now, as the business, now I'm thinking like, now I have to spend the time like doing that. And the mindset shift that I think, that I've seen help with a lot of our clients in the past is to just really start documenting your expertise and the conversations you're already having, right? And so every time you're having a coffee meeting with a potential client or any of that kind of stuff, either one, you could do the Gary V thing and try and have everything recorded, or just two, I like to just take notes on all the hot topics and reactions or topics that got reactions from the people I talk to, and then go back, and then that can be a video topic. So it's not necessarily about like creating from scratch and sitting down with a blank page, but just really, I see it as that mindset shift like you talked about, where it's just really digitizing your expertise so that now you can share it at scale and it becomes findable, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think one of the best exercises that we have our clients do is go sit down with their sales team and ask what clients are asking in that first, second, third meeting when they're trying to learn about the organization. And then you sort of pop that bubble of saying, why did they have to wait until they had to reach out to have this stuff answered? Like, why couldn't these all be this own list of free, easy to find video content that could build trust way before they had this obligation to fill the contact us form out, right?
Right. Totally. And it also allows the company, because some people will say like, well, we don't want to give that kind of information away up front, but I think it gives the company an opportunity to kind of control and guide so that you're the one educating and framing around the buyer journey. And it makes more sense for them to end up hiring you or buying from you, whatever it is you sell, right? So it's not like giving away all this stuff for free, quote unquote, and then nothing comes back, but using it to move people through a customer journey and become, highly educated and better customers.
Yeah, Todd, you're exactly right. I mean, I've talked to businesses that are on all the spectrum of their ability to want to be transparent with the organization. And I think the perfect example of this is people not wanting to like put pricing on their website because for whatever reason they're lying to themselves, saying that like business, like my prospects will recognize that I'm a value-based company and they'll pick up the phone and call me, and then I'll be able to really sell them on what my pricing structure is. And honestly, the internet is young still, right? I mean, it's already in the first 25 years of its existence become this amazing repository of like the encyclopedia of all information. And so if you agree with that and you agree with where the internet's headed, you're going to know that eventually some business or some entity is going to answer every question that your prospects have, so they never have to pick up the phone and call you. And if you're not going to be the one to answer those, then you're never going to have that conversation in the first place. So I think businesses realize how important this is when the phone stops ringing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't be nodding my head harder. I'm totally in line 100% with this. So, when people get started, like you mentioned, a company newsletter is like, that's, we're really going back and say like, that's the most basic, simple thing that it's like, you're checking the box and going through the motions, right? So do you see kind of like, what's that modern day version that people need to watch out for? If they say like, yeah, we're doing video, and they think they're doing video, but it's the same thing as like, yeah, we're doing content marketing, but they're just sending a company newsletter. Like, what's that modern, misconception and mistake you see people making when they think they're doing good video marketing, but they really aren't?
Yeah, it's a lot of times when businesses don't put the prospect or the customer first. It's them, and I think this is a pretty hot button word now, but it's them thinking from this customer-centric perspective when the customer, or excuse me, a company centric perspective, when the customer doesn't really care what the company has to say, they want to hear things from a customer centric perspective. So it stinks to look yourself in the mirror and realize that nobody really cares who your new hire is or what happened at the company picnic. The big change is starting to obsess over what your prospects want to actually understand. And that's how people want to learn about your organization is by learning from you, from what they really want inherently. Yeah.
I mean, customer centric is like a core value for me. I'm like considering what kind of design I want that to be on a poster on my office door. And I think that's a huge thing. I see everybody's, it's about us. It's, we raised this much money or we did this type of thing, as opposed to, here's an industry trend that's going to change the way you do business. And here's how you can, watch out and improve or, whatever, and that kind of thing. Totally with you. So when it comes to coming up with those ideas and putting a game plan together, like what kind of tips do you have for people to get out of that, kind of, self-centered, literally, mindset and into a more customer-centric mindset and putting a plan for what video content they're going to create?
Yeah, that's a great question. Like I said, I go through the exercise with businesses to help them identify what their prospects are actually searching for. And then honestly, I also walk people through, remember the last time that you went and you tried to find something online. I'm a big video guy, so I'm constantly looking up camera equipment or lighting or whatever. And if you're like me at all, you know that you basically obsess over that thing. You want to see what the best version of that thing is. You want to see what the comparisons are. I watch review videos on YouTube all the time. And you start to basically just consume as much information about the thing that you can, even if you've already really made your purchasing decision. So what I would say is start to find ways to create highly searchable content and then start to separate yourself from the stigma that feels like we need to have some high level of production value for this video to be effective. I think
that's a big thing.
With the big pop of the internet and social media as well, in the last 10 years, people have been pretty desensitized to the quality of videos. It's not about production quality anymore. It's about informational quality more than anything else.
Substance. People want substance and authenticity. And I think that's even true. We've actually ran a couple tests last year, where highly produced videos that have a lot of graphics and stuff like that, they actually get ignored because people are trained to ignore commercials, right? I mean, you're fast forwarding. If you even have commercials on stuff you watch, right? Which at this point, most people don't, but you're either fast forwarding or getting up to take a bathroom break. And so as soon as someone sees something that looks like a commercial, their brain is triggered like, okay, you can stop paying attention now, so it's almost, I prefer it because that saves us, money on our budget because we don't need to go too wild with all that stuff. But that brings up a good point, and let's circle back. So, we have this idea, we understand, and I want to come back to the emotional buying decision versus logical, which you just kind of touched on. We can pull that thread a little bit, but highly produced, high quality video is maybe not necessary at this point, right? But you talked about having a videographer. So what's the skill set of a videographer that companies should look for when they're going to hire, whether it is a freelance contractor person or a full-time salary person?
Yeah, honestly, it's the minority of who typical videographers are. And now, because camera equipment's been so cheap and there's so much free education online, there's so many people that hang their hat on the job title of I'm a videographer. It's not that hard to break into that role. And there's a million different paths you can take to do it that really don't require college or anything similar to that. Honestly, what you want to find is somebody that has the soft skills to be on what I call like video island in your organization. Because a lot of times, if it's one person's front runner task, everybody else still needs to be involved in it, but it's like the last back burner thing on everyone's agenda, really. And if you don't have somebody that can sort of get people behind the philosophy and the culture of adopting the production of video, which it's hard in itself, right? To just get people, I mean, it's not like we're writing articles. Everyone used to write pages all the time in school. We're getting people in front of the camera, and that's its own beast. So more than anything else, I'd say it's someone that has business acumen, someone that is charismatic enough, frankly, to fit in with the culture of your organization and get people to buy into an idea, which can feel a bit abstract at times. It's a lot less about the technical hard skills because everyone can learn those online if they need to.
Yeah. So it's not that you're looking for someone with 10 years experience editing in Adobe Premiere and all that kind of stuff, but rather someone who just, understands the business and what needs to be communicated and is able to kind of capture that.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, it's not the people that have been in the industry forever. You want someone that is like a college kid that's doing wedding videography or something along those lines, that they're used to being a one-person show and they can do the editing and the interviewing and the lighting and the recording all on their own without needing to be like a specialist in one specific section.
Right. Yeah. A solid utility player. Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
So when you talked about going through, searching, watching reviews online on YouTube and all that kind of stuff, you said how even once you make your buying decision, you still keep consuming stuff because you're kind of in the zone on it, right? And I think what happens at that point is we're really just looking for confirmation bias and the logical justification, right? Like when you hear a new camera came out, it doesn't take you too long to be like, yeah, I'm going to get that. I want to get that. So now you're just looking for information to like justify that, right? So I think, when people are creating video content, they have to keep in mind, like, first you want to start with like pulling some kind of, creating that emotional attachment and telling and doing that through telling stories, showing customer stories and all that kind of thing. But then making sure you don't leave out, like you said, like that logical information that's going to help people justify their decision. So I think there's got to be a good balance between those two things, and also not to totally discount the company picnic stuff, because people do like humanized brands, right? Like we said, overproduced stuff doesn't work. So I think that becomes your back burner, like 2 to 5% of your content, so that people know, like, okay, this isn't just like a faceless company putting stuff out, but rather there are people there and they get to know you. And that can kind of help support that emotional decision too. Like, this is a company I want to do business with, and now I'm going to justify all the reasons because of all the information that they're giving me about what I need to buy or do or hire or whatever.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, the whole point of making lower production video that's just one person talking to you is to humanize the organization. And that company picnic or that employee highlight is never going to be your foot in the door with somebody. They need to get value from you first. And then once they like you, they know you, they trust you, that's when you can start to drip those to your real raving fans and get them to fall in love with you even more.
Yeah, totally. All right. So as we're wrapping up here, can you give just like one solid tip for people who are kind of doing their video now, but that they can take it to the next level to get a little better performance out of what they're currently doing?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I say this more than anything else I say to my to my clients, excuse me. But it's a mistake that businesses make when they're in year 1 of doing this, and when they're in year 5, they still find a way to miss the mark on this here and there. And this goes a little bit back to being customer centric versus company centric, but it's more specifically with every single piece of content you make, ensure that you know the specific purpose for that content. And purpose is the big word here. It's people sort of want to, or companies, I should say, sort of want to find reasons to say specific taglines that they're really excited to tell people. Mm-hmm. And you need to let go of that a bit. You need to let the customer drive the information that you're doing. And so what I do for intros of videos with clients that are really struggling with this is I require them to say the statement, in this video, you are going to ... So why are they here? How did they find the video? What did they come here for? And then make a promise statement. So by the end of this video, you will be able to ... That helps people to ensure that there is, I know when this comes into place, there's a role for it and it serves a specific purpose. And I know that my viewer knows exactly what they're going to get out of it, what they're going to know or understand or be able to discern anyway.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great tip. Thanks so much, Will. All right. So for people looking for more help, where can they find you online, obviously, to hit you up and see what you have going on and maybe hire you guys if necessary?
Yeah, you can check out Impact's website whenever you're interested in getting a bunch of free inbound video and sales content. We have a ton of free stuff in our Learning Center already. And if you want to reach out to me directly, I am really active on LinkedIn. Shoot me a request and just say that you're interested in popping me an email or whatever. And I'm usually really responsive there and happy to jump on a call with anyone just to get a couple of questions answered as they start to figure out their own video strategy.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. So Will's on LinkedIn. We'll put a link in the show notes for that. And also Impact's website is impactbnd.com. We'll put a link in the show notes for that as well. So Will, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. Everybody, thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next episode.